Ready, Jen? Test, test, test. Okay. All right. I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting for the Buchanan Community Schools. And we're sorry for the slight delay. We had some technology difficulties, but we're going right on track. But we'd like to welcome you to the meeting of the Buchanan Community Schools Boards of Education. All our meetings have been posted on our district and on our websites, in our offices, in each of the buildings. And tonight's agenda is in the back. You can also pick one up if you have not done so. The agenda is also posted on the website as well. Our school board members do receive the agenda and the board packet ahead of time. That way they can review the contents of the that's coming up for the board meeting, so that way they can be informed as well as prepared to answer questions or make comments as such. The meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purposes of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. The Buchanan Community Schools Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters as indicated during the public comment portion on the agenda. And we do request that if you're interested in participating in the public comment portion, to provide us a public comment card so that a response can be provided promptly as possible. With that said, let us stand and do our Pledge of Allegiance. Do roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Here.
Ms. Berry? Mr. Carlson?
Here.
Ms. Lesh here? Dr. Carlin?
Here.
Ms. Ryder?
Here.
And Dr. Burnett.
Here. Moving on to item D, adoption of the agenda. May we have a motion, please?
I motion the agenda for the board meeting of November 21st, 2022 be adopted as written.
Support.
Roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett.
Yes. Moving on to item E, recognition of visitors. And of course, we'd like to welcome you all. Ms. Robinson, anything else to add? Because all these nice
Yes.
people out there.
Yes,
recognize?
we have our two schools who are here representing Ottawa on one side and Moccasin on the other side. So,
Okay.
so we welcome them both here as they're being recognized tonight, and then also our Buck Appreciation winner, Buck Staff winner, is also here tonight. So, oh, and then also our auditor is here to give a report. And Mrs. Beasley, I don't want to forget you. So sorry.
Welcome indeed, everyone. All right, moving on to item F, points of pride, and we're doing our Buck Staff Appreciation.
So we like to go over everyone who was nominated for the month of November, and then I read the recognition of the winner. So this, the winner for November was Rachel Carlson, Buchanan High School teacher and Buchanan High School advisor. The additional Buck staff was Deanna Russell, Buchanan Middle School and Buchanan High School music teacher, Derek Dorton, Operations Utility Staff, Jessica Elliott, Buchanan High School teacher and BHS advisor, Josh Wagner, Buchanan High School Social Studies teacher, Julia Radaucha, Buchanan Middle School Spanish teacher, Lisa Holock, Buchanan High School teacher and Buchanan High School advisor, Marilyn Harmon, Moccasin paraprofessional, Melissa Prestine, Ottawa and Moccasin music teacher, Paula Tuchek, Buchanan Middle School English Language Arts teacher, Rebecca Day, Ottawa paraprofessional, Sarah Frazier, Buchanan Middle School Social Studies teacher, Shannon Jeffries, Buchanan Middle School Science teacher, Sandra Staggs, Buchanan Middle School Math teacher, Tammy Holmer, Buchanan Middle School Administrative Assistant and District Register. And then we would like to read Ms. Carlson's nomination. These three ladies are the heart and soul of Buchanan High School. They share the responsibilities for the Buchanan Herd Spirit Team and Student Council. They are also amazing teachers. They organize and facilitate all that the Spirit Team does for the Herd T-shirts, organize the homecoming theme days, organized and supervised the homecoming dance, homecoming assembly, organized the travel pep assembly that travels to each school, and so much more. I am amazed at the time and effort these ladies put in every year, going above and beyond. In turn, they will do it again. They will all do it again coming Winterfest and Springfest. It is an honor to work alongside these amazing humans. The selflessness of these teachers is what makes Buchanan amazing. Thank you. And then on behalf of the Board of Education and Administration of Buchanan Community Schools, we thank you for your service and encourage you to keep up the great level of achievement and service to our district. Thank you.
Give a round of applause for Rachel. Come on down.
Can you take the, she can take that, yeah. It's got tongue-tied like 3 times.
I don't want to steal your thunder.
You can go down and get in it.
I'm sure of it.
That's not what I said.
While Harvey's coming back up, I would like to note, Mr. Freilich referenced 3 people in the letter repeatedly. The other 2 were Mrs. Holock and Mrs. Elliott, and along with Mrs. Carlson, they all work together to make all the herd things happen. Just the award goes to one in it, and it happened to be Mrs. Carlson, but Mrs. Holock and Mrs. Elliott both do equal share of the work for sure with all that.
All right. And moving on to item F3, successful implementation of the MTSS at Ottawa. Ms. Robinson.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I have invited our Ottawa staff to our meeting to be recognized for their implementation of the multi-tiered systems of support. They were recognized by our state implementation administrator, and we wanted tonight to openly congratulate them for the work that they've done. And if I could quote the words of Mr. Eric Hopstock, who also wrote a recognition letter to them, he stated, by implementing MTSS, they increased the consistency of effective behavior supports, built staff knowledge and skills to equitably support all learners, use data to proactively identify and provide support for students, and created a positive culture that nurtures relationships with students and their families. This strong foundation helps learners gain the skills needed to realize their life dreams. And that was from Eric Hopstock. We are excited about the work they are doing at Ottawa and know the work that is happening at this level sets students up for success as they move forward. I want Mrs. Dennison and her staff to please come forward. Thank you guys for all of your work. We know that you set the stage for kids as they transition from your building going to Moccasin, and I know Moccasin is very appreciative of the work that you do, getting our kids ready for the next level in their education. We'd like to take a picture with you, and I'd like the entire board, if you guys can go down and take a picture with our wonderful Ottawa staff. Thank you.
I didn't even hear it, so I'm sure I don't.
have one more school to recognize. Sorry, so you guys are coming back down.
You're fine.
So the next school is Moccasin. Moccasin is being recognized for their year-to-year achievement and improvement on the M-STEP in both reading and in math for the 3rd and 4th grade classes participating in the assessment. So basically, all of the grade levels that took the M-STEP at Moccasin all made improvement and achievement and on the M-STEP in both reading and math. So I certainly wanted to lift you guys up and show you our support for you. All teachers, 2nd through 4th grade, have taken it personally to provide students with strategic instruction that helps each individual student. They have been consistent with their work around data and professional learning communities, where they answer the 4 guiding questions. What do we want students to learn? How will we know if they've learned it? How will we respond when learning did not take place? And how will we respond when learning already has occurred? I want you to encourage you to keep up the good work, and we are so, so grateful for the work that you're doing and the work that you have done for our students in Buchanan Community Schools. Thank you.
Come on down for a picture.
So you may come on up, receive your award, and take a picture.
Come on down.
I heard you say that, Carl. I didn't get my steps in today, so.
I never read that.
that
I don't read
You
that.
don't read the district?
Which, oh, the one Michelle just sent? Oh, yeah, I did. I flipped through that. Yeah,
Harvey's having issues.
Right.
Feel free.
And you're free to leave if you'd like, or you can stick around if you like. Either way, we'll entertain you. All right, with that said, we'll go on to Superintendent Department reports. And anything to add, Ms. Robinson, to that?
No.
Okay. Then we'll move on to presentations. We're going to go with school highlights. And Ms. Beasley from middle school.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. I am here tonight to represent the middle school. My name is Shelby Beasley, and it is the honor that I serve every day as the principal at Buchanan Middle School. And so I'm here tonight to talk about the magic in the middle. Hopefully that will be popping up here shortly. I am also, this year, I have been able to serve as part of the Beyond Equity cohort. There we go, magic in the middle, you know. But anywho, so I've been able to serve as part of the Beyond Equity cohort for Barry and Risa. And we are doing a series of a whole bunch of different things with the Justice Leaders Collaborative, and they've been kind of guiding us through some lessons about different things. And one of the particular things that stuck out to me was a particular video called The Danger of the Single Story. And a novelist, it's her TED Talk, it's 18 minutes, we're not gonna watch it tonight, and I'll make sure that I'll share this with you guys, but it is definitely 18 minutes, it's worth your while. And Chimamanda Adichie, I've been practicing all day and I knew I was gonna do it, Adichie, is an author, and she's a novelist, and she was wonderful, and she really told a lot of her personal stories about what it was like to grow up as a child in Africa. And her big message was, if we only hear or believe a single story about another person or another group of people, then we create a critical misunderstanding about those group of people. And she had really great examples that talked about when she was younger, she only saw books, and she thought that to be a princess, you had to have yellow hair and wear pink dresses and things like that. And then it wasn't until later in her years that she actually saw books with characters that looked like her. And so there's a couple other quotes up there just that really stuck out to me. Just making sure that it's really important to talk about more than one story. And then if we all hear each other's multiple stories, then it really true is a kind of paradise. And so I was thinking about this a lot about middle school. And so I feel like middle school students kind of get a bad rep sometimes, and there's a single story about middle school students, right? And so there's these memes on Facebook of what you think you know or what most people think. And so what most people think about middle school students is they're self-centered, they love to take selfies, and they really only kind of care about themselves, and they're hormonal, so first they're sweet, then they're sour, then the next minute they're sour, then the next minute they're crying, but then they love you and things like that. And then people also think that they're obsessed with social media. They definitely are. And then there she is in all her 1998 glory. They are also incredibly awkward. Yes, that is me, circa 1998. And so those things might be true about middle school students, but I'm here tonight to expand the stories also, so you have a better idea of some of the things that we have going on at Buchanan Middle School. And so this is a collection of pictures of a couple of the things we've been up to this fall. You'll see up here that we had a fall fest. There's pictures from that where there was a hayride that we were graciously given from some members of our school farm. We have some junior herd, awesome spirit wear winners. Every morning there's a group of 5th graders, some of them might be in the audience right now, that play Uno together, and it's just really fun because not only are these students, they might be a little bit awkward at times, but we have so many students that are selfless and inclusive, and they are service-based. We had about 40 students that went to multiple houses in the community for Make a Difference, and that was great. We have students that serve every other Tuesday on the junior herd student credit union. We have students that are always willing to help other people. In the bottom corner, when's the last time you saw a group of 6th grade students play Ring Around the Rosie? We had a free recess one day as a positive behavior incentive, and I'm not kidding, that group, they kept playing Ring Around the Rosie over and over and over again. And I just had to take a picture of it because they like to act like they're grown up and they're old, but here they were on their own accord playing, Ring Around the Rosie. And so that's a glimpse at our stories there. And then also this quarter, I sent out a survey to students, to staff, and to families to try to get a little bit of perception data to try to see how we're doing at the middle school. And so students, it's really tiny up there, you can't really see it, but so their survey, we asked questions about, do you feel safe at school? Who's your safe adult? Do you feel the adults at the middle school care about you? And I'm pleased to report the data from that was excellent. But the graph that is up there, the question is, what motivates you to do your best? Something along those lines. And I was very, very interested in the results of this because the majority of the group, so that blue, their answer was getting good grades and being on honor roll. So that really showed how many of our middle school students have that intrinsic motivation to do well. And then the next one was the yellow, and that was being able to be celebrated at positive behavior incentives and things like that and hanging out with their friends. The green was getting positive comments and feedback from staff members. And what you might not think about was the smallest one was candy or prizes. And so when you think about middle school kids, many people would assume that they would just want something. But it's truly about the experiences, and they really do want to do well. In the staff survey, I asked a lot of questions about just systems, communication, how they need support, are they feeling that they get support, and then areas to strengthen and areas they do well. And in this graphic here, 88% of the responses when asked if, like, what we do well as a middle school, had some sort of teacher efficacy in their answers. And if you know anything about Hattie, he's this education man who made this list of all of these things that really impact student achievement the most, and the top of that list is collective teacher efficacy. So at the middle school, our staff truly believes that we are doing what's best for kids, and we do that together. So that was really exciting to read that. And then our parent survey asked a lot of questions about communication. I was really happy to know that 100% of the people that did this survey received my dialers that I do every single Friday. I asked about their overall perception of the building. They had a chance to tell me anything that they wanted. But then this graphic here is if they would recommend Buchanan Middle School to a friend, a colleague, a neighbor, or something like that. And we only had about 56 answers and only 2 said no. So the majority, vast majority, would definitely recommend Buchanan Middle School, so that was something that I was proud of. From our telling our stories, these are some direct quotes that I thought were kind of fun from our surveys that we sent out. So this was a student that said, "We have a great school full of kids, and we hope to impress you all at some point in time in the school year." I thought that was just very, for a middle school child to say something that profound, "We hope to impress you." It just really kind of tickled me. And we also had, some students' best school ever. And then my favorite one was that this year actually might be a good year and school is actually kind of fun. Imagine that. It's a very, very adolescent answer. And then there's just a couple of other perceptions and things up there from the teachers and the parents. We were just thrilled to be able to give them a voice, no matter what part of the community was part of our school community. They got to tell us how we were doing. And so I've been really working hard on spreading our story. I am very, very much so trying to expand into the community. I was thrilled to welcome members from our school farm to our Fall Fest, and it went really, really well. And that big giant paragraph there is some of the feedback that I received from one of our volunteers. And it might be kind of scary, and I got a couple of other things where people were worried about having a hayride at the Fall Fest. They thought the middle school kids might not do well. And if you can see up here, they talked about nothing about how it was a wonderful experience, our students were kind, and that volunteer says that they would be willing to come back whenever. And then in the top corner is just a little snippet from a senior citizen in the community that was just tickled pink when we came and showed up at her house for Rake a Difference. And I was actually at that house. Sorry, I showed up a little bit late because I had a meeting, but when I came, she just said she couldn't believe that there were kids, and she felt so bad that she didn't have cookies for them. And so she actually showed up last week with cookies for everybody. But so just to kind of further some things, the next few chapters, there's so much more to middle school kids than that little awkward, awful picture from that girl from 98. We're definitely trying to expand them from being self-centered. So a couple things we're looking forward to is a Jingle Bell Jam coming up. It's kind of our winter version of the Fall Fest. We will have our ornament making project. That's a thing that we do as a tradition every year. We have our middle of the year NWEA and goal celebrations that we're looking forward to. We have our junior herd kudos kindness campaign that's coming up. Student council's Buck for a Buck. We're about to kick off a food drive, and our food drive is going to include scarves, hats, gloves, and socks as well, and maybe some gift cards. And then we'll have our spring fling in the spring for our families and everybody, and Battle of the Bucks and Field Day. And so there's just a lot going on, because we've truly found that when students enjoy school at the middle school, they're going to get the academic results also that we look forward to. So whenever you want to come, there's magic in the middle.
Very good. Thank you.
Shelby, I want to say that I
talk fast, but once again, we want to thank the school district for hiring us to be your guys' independent auditors. We really take that as a big pride. And if any questions you guys have, I'd be happy to answer it.
Board members, any questions?
It's really hard to follow those other presentations. I know I don't get pictures or autograph or whatever, but yeah, thanks a lot though.
Thank you, Alex.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Alex, and Carrie, thank you very much for your hard work over in the business office and your staff.
Thank you.
Okay, and executive team updates?
Yes, just one final kind of presentation. You guys have this presentation in your packets, and there were just a couple of things that I wanted to point out, and this is about our school district data. And this will be added to our website as well for future review. So included is the strategic plan. I wanted to point out that our data is associated with our strategic plan. So I circled in red what goal it aligns with. And then overall, for our spring 22 MAP data, it shows an average of 59% of our students meeting or exceeding grade level targets. And this is the average in grades K through 8. So this is all of them. We have an average of 43% of our students who are proficient on the M-STEP. So this is all of the M-STEP assessments, that includes all content areas, and with all of the grade levels that took the assessment. So that's third through 11, so third through 11. And then our next one is, there are 2 slides that I've included that shows reports from IDEX, which is a software program that we also use to hold our data. Those 2 slides, one is a performance indicator that can be used to guide our focus area for our district. And then also I included the next one is a historical data slide. So that just gives you kind of a point of reference over time for our data that way. And on average, our PSAT data, which would be the next slide, is 51%. So PSAT is given by given in 8th, 9th, and 10th grades. So 51% met the benchmark, and then 39% of our students met the benchmark for SAT, and that's on average. I combined the reading and math scores together for that. And then at the end of your slides, you have individual scores for the schools, kind of broken out, and then also county data showing how our schools did compared to other schools in the county. Our next steps would be just to continue using our professional learning communities and honing in on those. We've seen how they work at, how successful they can be using Moccasin as a model. Our district achievement teams, we've started those back. On the 11th of this month, we had an hour where our principals and administrators led a group, a content area group, so we're getting those back. We'll also review our data periodically when we have our benchmark assessments and state assessments. Formative assessments are also included within the PLCs, and then also we're going to continue our process and for purchasing curriculum purchases. So that's it for our data update.
Very good. Thank you. All right, moving on to item I, information and new business, reports of new business. Finance Committee, anything?
I can go,
I
Chris.
can, I'll do this one, you do the other one.
No problem.
This one's easy.
I know.
Yeah, the Finance Committee met with Brian Brown and Carrie on October 25th, and we basically just reviewed the the audit, so. That's it.
All right. Very good. Nothing else? All right. How about moving on to Curriculum and Programming Committee?
I'll do that if that's okay. Okay. Curriculum Committee met twice this month already. We met on the 1st of the month, and then we also met on the 14th. The first meeting was with Dr. Carlin, the Superintendent Trish Robinson, and Mark Curlin, and myself. We reviewed policy, board policy with regards to materials and public concerns about materials and so on, so we went over those policies. We also briefly discussed high school class size. I'll come back to that. We too went over the data that we just saw, so that, everyone has now seen that information. Curriculum purchases, which is coming up later on the agenda. So again, we discussed that. We also discussed in that first meeting the curriculum review for this year. And then the other thing that we had to discuss, since we are now curriculum and, what's the other part of it? And programming, we did deal with the overnight field trips for athletic events that are spur of the moment almost. So we did discuss that. That meeting was only an hour and 45 minutes. The next meeting, we added 2 able individuals from our high school. That's Principal Brian Pruitt and our counselor Brandon Flowers. And in this one, which again I think was well over an hour, I lost count of that one. But we talked about major focus areas at the high school and some issues in 8th grade for electives. We also discussed 11th and 12th grade, with the 11th grade being the most challenging because many students are off campus. I was educated in early college academy versus early middle college. We talked about dual enrollment, we talked about CTE, we talked a great deal about AP courses and possible AP additions in the future, and what might be the easiest way to increase those, and also other ways that we could perhaps increase our electives in core academic areas and so on. Very productive, and I learned a lot, even though I'd been involved with curriculum for like 50 years. So it was very, both of them were very good meetings.
Good.
Dr. Carlin, would you like to add?
Great summary, Ms.
Okay.
All right, very good. Human Resources Committee, anybody?
Okay, I'll do that one. We met on November 2nd, and we met at 1 o'clock, and that was Mrs. Lush, Mrs. Berry, Mrs. Robinson, and Mrs. Brunsting. We discussed transfers, including a transfer involving kid care. We discussed 3 resignations. We also discussed the 2nd grade teacher, and we also talked about dear Mr. Place, who's behind us here, who's now teaching Cisco in addition to his other responsibilities. So we did a lot of review of what's happening with our staff and so on. Again, these meetings are long but so productive. So, you know, we get a lot of information in those meetings.
I had a social studies teacher back in the day that told me government really gets done in committee.
Yes, it does.
So I'm learning that firsthand now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. Ryder.
Yeah. You learn that quickly when you get on a board.
I'm going to second Mr. Pruitt's clap for Phil for doing double duty.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
he's extremely busy, and we appreciate you stepping up, Phil.
Is he asleep?
Higher. I was going to say just another
He's
step.
working on his curriculum.
Yeah.
Facilities Planning Committee?
Yeah, we met on November 9th. Superintendent Robinson, Assistant Superintendent Kerlin, Mrs. Ryder, and myself. Mr. Lee was feeling under the weather that day. We didn't have a short meeting. We went just over 3 hours.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Glad I'm not on that committee, no.
And we were speaking, we had 3 presentations from 3 companies that provide owners representation services for possible future services to the district regarding bond work and things like that. More discussion to be had about that with those 3 and before anything comes to action. So.
And Farm Advisory?
Oh, that
Is
would
that
be
you,
me.
Kelly?
Yeah. We, So for the school farm, very cool, Shelby mentioned, and thank you, Jane. Jane's here tonight, our education coordinator. Thank you for coordinating with the middle school to get that in action. The hayride, we were worried about middle schoolers being on a hayride. So, but it all came, it sounds like it went well, and I did hear positive feedback from other parents, so very cool. We are just trying to plug away. Our winter hit us early, so we didn't get a lot of things done that we did have on our to-do list, trying to get some equipment repairs in, and then just communication amongst all of us with the change of Mr. Nixon to Jane and then some other advisory members, just trying to get on the same page. Obviously, Jane brings new thoughts and ideas to the programs, so we need to assess all the programs, and then that way everybody's on the same page for what is needed for each program. So just plugging along and having those meetings, and not happy about the snow, but we will figure it out for, the spring. So that's what we do. We just go with the flow.
Good. Winter Wonderland.
Winter Wonderland.
All right. Very good. Moving on to item J, public comment, and per our Buchanan Community Schools bylaw 0167.3, which governs public comment at board meetings, each participant may speak once during the meeting for up to 3 minutes. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. As president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and responses in a timely manner. Please ensure your public comment card includes your contact information as desired for a response. If you have specific questions for the board that requires a follow-up, please email those directly to the board president. And with that said, I do have one comment card.
Yep, that's
and
all I
it's
have.
Mr. Don Ryman.
I have had no response to any of the questions I have raised with the board during my previous visits here. I asked whether the schools were politically indoctrinating students with incorrect historical theories such as critical race theory and 1619. Receiving no response, I concluded that in the absence of a response, the board approved of a teacher's indoctrinating the students with these invalid and nefarious theories. I would like an answer on this subject. Parents need to know whether these invalid, nefarious subjects are being taught to their children, so they may make a decision as to whether to leave their children in the public schools or switch them to homeschooling or a private school. Harvey Burnett has recently I congratulate him on this promotion. This new job, in addition to this, he has a teaching schedule at Andrews University. It is not possible he has the energy to handle. He should give up at least one of them. Harvard views for Michigan senators and representatives. This indicates to me that the Democrats and this man three affiliations. I was scrupulous in my campaign of school board member to never mention my party affiliation. The Republican Party did not promote my candidacy in any of their advertisements. To do so would have violated for her. My late wife Martha would have said, turn that over to the pit. I would answer that there must schools are teach our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren the invalid doctrines of CRT and 1619, so we can decide whether to go to other sources for their education. Harvey Burnett has his plate too full to serve on the Buchanan Board of Education, and in any event, he has served beyond any reasonable term limits. His violation for candidates to use partisan advertising in their campaigns. Thank you.
Don, do you have an email address? What? Do you have an email address that the superintendent can reach out and answer that question?
Do you have an email address that they could send a response to?
Oh, yes. DM Ryman at sbcglobal.net. Right. Did you get that?
Yep, thank you. All right, moving on to item K, adoption of the consent agenda. May I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approves the consent agenda for the regular board meeting of November 21st, 2022, that it be adopted as written. Includes the minutes from the 10/17 regular meeting, the 11/3 special meeting, warrants, treasuries and expenditure reports, October of 2022, recommendations to hire, as submitted by the Ottawa elementary principal and the Moccasin elementary principal. Those include Christy Schlutt, Ottawa paraprofessional, Amy Letty, Ottawa paraprofessional, Jenny Rarick, Moccasin paraprofessional. Recommendations for parents' representation to the Barry and Risa Parent Advisory Council for 2022 through 2024, as submitted by District Special Education Supervisor Mrs. Karen Falkenstein. They include Dina Manderson, primary category of cognitive impairment, and Brittany Martin, primary category of otherwise health impaired. Coaching recommendations for the winter of 2022-23 is submitted by Assistant Athletic Coordinator Mr. Ryan Franzek. Include Derek Angelo, 7th grade basketball coach, and Jeff Griffin, 8th grade basketball coach, boys for boys. Employment departures include Christine Ewell, Moccasin Special Ed, and Robert Bruce, Moccasin Paraprofessional.
Support.
All right. Roll call.
Just 1 second, sorry.
Yep.
Knew I was forgetting something. All right, Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L1, BVA graduation certification.
I move the Buchanan Board approves the, upon satisfactory completion of the district requirements for high school graduation, the Board of Education hereby approves Buchanan Virtual Academy students Taisha Whitfield, Paige Hudson, Ariana Andrade, Shanek Mabone, and for the Buchanan Step Up students, John Gonzalez.
Support.
And we congratulate our upcoming graduates. All right.
Yep.
Roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L2, 2, certified staff maternity leave.
I make a motion, the Buchanan Board of Education grants maternity leave to Shelley Bozert, Buchanan Middle School 5th grade teacher, for 6 weeks, 30 days, beginning from approximately January 26, 2023, in accordance with Article, help me out, Ms. Ryder. 8, Section A1B, using accumulated sick days bearing any complications. She would return to her position as Buchanan Middle School 5th grade teacher.
Support.
Thank you.
And Ms. Robinson.
Yeah, just congratulations, and we hope that she has a successful delivery and they just return safely, so.
All right. Roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L3, donation approvals for over $1,000.
I move the Buchanan Board of Education approves the following donations. To help with costs associated to Moxon Elementary students' roller skating sessions, Buchanan Lodge number 68, free and accepted Masons, $2,100. Buchanan High School Athletic Department, from Jeff Letcher in honor of his parents, Joe and Betty Letcher, $10,000.
Support.
Okay, Ms. Robinson.
Yes, we so appreciate our donors, who, one of them sought us out to find we could get this check to. So we will definitely be good stewards of the money that is given to us, and we do not take this for granted at all. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L4, Neola, second reading.
I move the Buchanan Board of Education approves the second reading of the following Neola new and revised policies. Policy 0144.1, compensation. Policy 6108, authorization to use electronic fund transfers and automated clearinghouse arrangements. That's a new one. Policy 6460, vendor relations. Policy 6700, Fair Labor Standards Act. Policy 7440.03, small unmanned aircraft systems. And policy 9150, school visitors.
Support.
And this is the second reading, so we'll go ahead and roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L5, school farm land lease.
I move the Buchanan Board of Education approves the attached farm land lease agreement with Shane Maston for the rental of land at the school farm for a 3-year period ending November 30th, 2025. The President and Secretary are hereby authorized to sign the agreement on behalf of the board.
Support.
Ms. Robinson.
So this is every 3 years, and we did take some input from the Farm Advisory with updating just some of the wording in the contract.
All right. Roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L6, curriculum adoption. May we have a motion, please?
I move the Buchanan Board of Education approves the following curriculum adoption. Wonders for grades 2 through 4.
Support.
And Ms. Robinson, anything else to add?
I know Mrs. Ryder alluded to this earlier in her report, and Mr. Curlin has worked, I think it's been over a year, with the staff at Moccasin and getting this going. He's also connected with Vera and Risa and helping us just kind of develop our system for this curriculum review. Worked with the finance department too in ensuring that we have the dollars to fund this, so we are ready to move forward with it.
All right. Roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L7, 2022-2023 extracurricular assignments.
I move that the Board of Education approves the Buchanan Community Schools extracurricular assignments for the 2022-2023 school year.
Support.
All right. Anything else to add, Mrs. Robinson?
No.
I would just like to say that these extracurricular activities make schools so much more involved with our students, and I really appreciate everyone who takes the time after the school day to give to our community.
All right. Roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Abstain.
Sorry, you got me. Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes, moving on to, I'm sorry, L7, or L8, I'm sorry, RFP snow plowing.
A motion the Buchanan Board of Education approves Assistant Superintendent Mark Herlin's recommendation to accept the bid from Affordable Asphalt and Bulldozing for snow removal and salting for the Buchanan Community School District.
Support.
Ms. Robinson, anything else to add?
Nothing else to add.
Roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
Dr. Burnett?
Yes. And moving on to item L9, moving into closed session for student discipline.
I move the Buchanan Board of Education, I went too far, sorry. Moves to closed session for student discipline hearing, student number 7300997342.
Support.
Who supported, sorry?
Chris.
Thank you. At 7:07,
Yep. And roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Going upstairs, right?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, let's have a motion to return to open session.
I move the Buchanan Board of Education return to open session at 7:45.
Support.
Roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
Dr. Burnett?
Yes. And moving on to item student discipline. I'll read the motion. The Board of Education adopts the following resolution, whereas the administration has presented to the Board of Education a recommendation concerning the expulsion of a student who was in violation of Buchanan School Board Policy Number 5772 and 5610 on Wednesday, November 9th, 2022, and whereas the administration has notified the student and parents involved of the accusation against the student, the recommendation of expulsion, and their right to a hearing on this date, now therefore be it resolved, the Buchanan Board of Education chooses to expel student number 730099742 from attendance in Buchanan Community Schools with the following conditions to be met for possible reinstatement in Buchanan High School for the first semester of the 2023-2024 school year. 1, through the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year, we request as a student number 730099742 successfully complete the current grade level while attending BVA, the step-up program, or another alternative setting. Number 2, the student must have 6 sessions of counseling completed with an outside the school district professional, responsibility of the parent or guardian, prior to readmittance meeting with the superintendent of Buchanan Community Schools. Number 3, upon the completion of the first 2 steps, the student and parent or guardians must contact the superintendent of Buchanan Community Schools to schedule a readmittance hearing back into Buchanan Community Schools, and for any recommendation will be reviewed by the Buchanan School Board before a decision and reinstatement. Student number 730099742 will be made. And the student may be remitted if all board policies have been met.
Support.
And roll call.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin?
Yes.
Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item M, question and comments from board members. I would like to, well, anybody first?
I'll go ahead. I'd like to congratulate Dr. Burnett as he sits here and one of our lone audience members who have made it this far tonight on their decided victory in the school board election. Congratulations to both of you. And Jenny, we look forward to working with you.
As you may have noticed, there are a few committee meetings. So,
Congratulations. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody and all of our staff and students. And there is going to be a PTM fundraiser for Moccasin on Saturday for the Bucktown Christmas downtown. And we want to say thank you to Michigan Community Gateway Foundation for letting us use their building so we don't freeze outside. And we're just going to do a hot cocoa bar. So please stop in and donate some funds and get a nice warm cup of hot cocoa. I'll be serving. So anyways, but happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
I would just like to say that yesterday marked the 100th anniversary of the first students walking in these halls.
Oh.
So Harding was president, and since then we've had 16 other presidents. We've been through Depression and many wars and the New Deal, and we are still standing.
Yes.
And I only wish that we could pass the bond.
Yes.
Apparently, there's no term limits for school board members. I learned tonight.
No.
Jenny, we're implementing a new program that you can intern for like one practice meeting, so I don't know what you're doing December 19th, but this seat is open on that particular evening, should you want to give it a shot before the real deal.
Yeah.
Anybody else? All right, again, want to congratulate Jeannie on successful election of the board. We look forward to working with you. I want to thank our, actually Laura Hinkle as well, helping us to get our Shop with a Cop list together. So that would go well. And last but not least, what I do want to say, and I'll just limit it to this, is that for a person from the inner city of Detroit, and from not only that, but also being from connected with a reservation, working hard and doing what you have to do to make a difference in community is important. And I know being a part of this board has been one because of my love for students and the school district. My kids have benefited from the staff and other students that have been here. And I also value my colleagues on the board as well, with the wisdom that is here. So I know I'm biting my tongue a little bit because in my reaction to it is I was feeling more that it was more of a, and forgive my French, it was more of a, in understanding who the person is a racial statement that was not called for. However, with that said, I wish you all a good Thanksgiving. Eat a lot of whatever you eat.
Get stuffed.
All right, and our next board meeting is going to be